Hey, welcome back to the Midday Q&A. I'm your host, the Duckman. We're back today with another exciting question. This is a good one. It's a little bit assy, but I mean, it's a legitimate question. We're gonna try to answer it today. The question is, am I ever going to finish my Beetle? And the answer in short is no. Wait a minute. Come back. There's more to it. Hang on. Ugh. There's a lot more to that question. We're going to answer that right after the introduction. We're not done yet. We're going to talk a little bit about it and about some of my other projects and why it takes me so long to get these things done. So thanks for watching, you guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and pluck the dingle belly down on the next subscribe button, and we get updates every time I upload a new video. Thanks for watching. Alright, we're back. Now, I just want to make it clear that I'm making this video not so that people feel sorry for me or that, you know, maybe I'm wanting attention or that I'm looking for people to say, you know, it's your channel or it's your car, you should do it however you want to do it. You know, those are things that I know, but I just want to have this up for a little bit of awareness, and we're going to have a good time with it today. So if you guys like to laugh and smile, then you're probably going to want to stick around through this video. Watch it till the end. You might have a guest appearance. Let's just say, Delmont's been lurking around. Hey, we're back. Thanks for sticking with me. It's kind of a warm day, so I'm out here having a beer today. There's a light mist in the air, otherwise I'd be tearing down Eleanor's engine here, sandblasting all those tins, getting them ready for paint. But unfortunately, I haven't gotten that far along. I just don't think it's a good idea to be taking apart and sandblasting to bare metal tins in this humid of weather. Tomorrow, however, the forecast is saying something like 30% humidity. That's extremely low for Florida in any time of season. So I'm looking forward to that. It should be about 70 degrees, 30% humidity. I mean, perfect temperatures for painting. It's just perfect. And I haven't decided yet if I want to use rattle can or if I'm going to just spray something on, but I'm going to use relatively cheap and inexpensive oil-based paint you could just buy almost anywhere. I don't need to get too fancy on that. If I'm going to take it apart and repaint it again, which is probably going to be the case, I don't really mind, so I'm not going to go overboard spending on this thing. Let's just go ahead and get this thing together, make it look nice, and be done with it. I was actually accused of putting up more videos about Eleanor deliberately just to get more views and slow down the progress on the car just for that reason. And that to me seems counterproductive. I mean, it's nice to have a lot of YouTube views, but I'm not getting a lot of views by putting up more videos. I might get more people to subscribe, I might get some more watch hours, but I'm not really getting more views. How I used to make my videos is I used to record over the course of a couple weeks, maybe even a couple months, and put together a project and then turn it into one epic video that was less than 10 minutes long and demonstrate the process. And it was kind of similar to what you see on the TV shows, these guys that build these cars in a 30-minute show. Nobody is building a car in a 30-minute show. There's just no way. So what they do is they show you just the highlights, a little bit of the bickering and the fighting that goes on in there, so you get a little bit of the show drama because that's always interesting. And then by the end of the show, hey, there's your finished car. That's not real life, guys. No, I'm sorry. And something to the magnitude of what Eleanor was, even if I put that into a shop, it's still, and Earl will tell you this, even to get a car like this done properly, it's going to take just 6 months for the paint and bodywork alone, and that doesn't count the actual restoration, you know, patching of the rust and rebuilding the chassis and all that other stuff. But the right way to do it is going to take you up to 6 months, and that's normal. Now, like I said, when they're making a show, however, they might hurry things, they might spread a little Bondo over rust. That's not how Eleanor is going to get built, and here's a beer for that. This car is going to be done the right way, and that's the reason why I'm not doing the paint work on it. That's not my forte. It's not what I do. I can do sanding. I don't paint well. I did paint my SV650. I gotta admit, it looks pretty good. It was a rattle can paint job. Nobody can tell, which means it's a really good rattle can paint job. But when it comes to professional paint, again, that's not what I do here. I don't have a proper paint booth. I wouldn't be able to keep the dirt and the bugs out of it. It's really difficult to get the right temperature environment here. I don't have a good indoor place for working on it, and that's why I'm not doing the paint on this car. Needless to say, the reason why I don't have a lot of time to devote to this car is because, well, I work. YouTube is not my full-time job. You know, if I can get my YouTube subscribers up maybe 10 to 20 times of what they are now, I'll start, you know, maybe changing that tune a little bit. But at this point, I'm not there. So I do work every day, and I mean every day. I do not get days off. If you ever do hear me say day off, that means I'm not accepting calls. So if somebody's sending me a service call, I'm not handling it. But that doesn't mean that I've stopped working, because there are other projects that I work on. I do web programming, and I do that from my desk. I work on other people's cars and projects, motorcycles. A lot of it's small little piece work, and if they don't mind me making a video, you'll actually get to see it. If they don't want to make the video, or it's not really interesting, then it's not going to show up here on YouTube. That should more or less tell you how that works. The same guy that accused me of putting up more videos just to enhance or blow up my views is the same person that told me that I can't accept criticism. And I find that highly funny, because here on YouTube, you know, how could I possibly be on YouTube if I didn't accept criticism? What would I do, shut off my comments on every video? I mean, I could shut those off. I could, if I didn't want to hear anything from anybody. But criticism is something I can accept. What? Yeah, I am going to finish that car, but finish is a relative term. How far do you figure it is before it's finished? Now, some people might say, well, you know, as soon as you're behind the wheel and driving it, well, that could be real soon. As soon as I get that pan put together, I'll go down the street driving it. Is that done? Yeah, probably not. I know, because it's my project and the way I work on things, I'm endlessly going to be working on this thing the rest of my life, and it's a project that's going to continue to evolve even after I've got the paintwork done on it, and the glasses in it, and the thing is running, driving, and it's on the streets, and it's in the shows, winning awards. Yeah, it's going to win awards. It's still not going to be done to me. I'm still going to continue to evolve this car. I'm still going to continue to modify this car, change things on it. It's not ever going to be done. Now, is it going to be done faster than, let's say, the CR500? Yeah, it is going to be done faster than the CR500. There's a few things that slowed me down on the CR500 progress, and that is because the Volkswagen stuff here on this YouTube channel started to take off, and I started getting more views working on this stuff than I did ever did on the motorcycle stuff. So as a result, I kind of shifted gears a little bit. I still do motorcycle stuff, not as much, but I started doing more with the Volkswagen. The Volkswagen's really where my heart is at, and it might be one of the reasons why that is doing better, because they say if you have a passion for something, do it, and the money will follow. And that's kind of what happened here. In this case, it's the viewership has followed, my subscribers have followed, and I enjoy you guys, and thank you for that. For those of you that are up there and you like to criticize on my projects or my designs, you know, I thank you for that. As long as it's constructive criticism, I don't have a problem with it. You suck! If it's... Get out of here! Get out of here! Where were we? Yeah, if it's constructive criticism, I really don't mind it so much, because it's helping me to make my project better, or perhaps make the process easier. Now, if you're telling me a certain something because you're seeing something that I'm doing very differently than how you would ordinarily do it, it might be because my vision of the future, my end game, is different than what you got in mind, and that happens often. I don't always like to share what I'm doing in the future. I don't always like to tell. It's one of the reasons why a lot of people just don't know what I've got planned or what I've got coming up, and the reason for that is I don't share it. I don't like to talk too much about the future in specifics. I'm going to have this car driving on March 1st. No. No. My goal might be to make the October 20th car show. You know, that doesn't mean the car is going to be done, but I want to have it to a certain level of completion, so that way I feel that I'm accomplished and I get the award that I'm deserving for what I've done for this car. Yeah, I try not to promise what's coming out of the future, and one of the things that probably the most intelligent thing that I've done on YouTube, or I should say the most intelligent thing that I didn't do on YouTube, is showing the beginning of the process of where I cut this car up. Well, I did show some of the cutting up, but more of the process of putting it back together. If I actually demonstrated what I was doing when I was building this car, I probably would have become discouraged to ever share it again on YouTube, because of the way that people are going to be talking to me, because of the things that I did to this car. Because of how I cut up a 1956 oval-windowed Beetle, which was a piece of crap, by the way, and rebuilt it into the car that you see here. And so many people told me in the beginning that I wasn't ever going to be able to get that car back together. Well, I mean, you know, it's right there. Obviously that happened. But had I have demonstrated the whole process along the way, and then showed that it was going to be a chop top, and demonstrated the whole process as I was doing that, all anybody was ever going to say to me is that I'm doing it wrong, or it's really ugly, or I'm ruining a good car. If you've gotten that far with it, why don't you just restore it back to stock? I didn't want to hear that shit. I just didn't want to hear it. And around the same time, I ended up having an injury. I was using some grinders, and foolishly I wasn't wearing an impact glove, and the vibration actually did a little nerve damage to my hands, so my hands were messed up for almost a year. They had this pins and needles feeling, and if I tapped them like that, the pins and needles would go into all the way from my fingertips to, you know, shooting up my arms almost, and that's not a good thing. Some people said, oh, you know, carpal tunnel. Well, no, it wasn't. It was vibrating hand syndrome, and it is a thing, and sometimes it could even cause circulation damage too, where your fingers turn white, and it could even get to the point that they die and fall off, and that didn't seem like a good idea to me. Well, the doctor said the same thing. Stop with the tools. So I stopped running the tools, and I was only using very, very basic hand tools on things, and I mean, we're talking really basic, like, you know, wrenches and ratchets, and not even swinging hammers on anything because it was just too much vibration. And over the course of about a year, minimal work done to anything, I started to work on the car again. I made a lot of progress and a lot of headway. I was kind of camera shy at the time returning to YouTube, and then I showed the car going to the show. There it is. I mean, just a lot of things happened in my life during that year and a half. It wasn't just that I hurt my hands. I actually had some things going on at my business, and things that just weren't good. I was trying to run the biggest car show that Pensacola had ever seen, with over 1,000 cars, and we did it, we were going to go for twice a year, in the spring and in the fall, and make it, as we call it, the bookends of the car show season. And the car show was huge, and due to a lot of differences between my business partners and the public, some really negative things happened, and the car show went to shit and fell apart, and I feel really, really terrible about it, and it kind of made a bad name for myself too. A lot of these car people don't want to ever get involved with me again. But the group that I had always been with, that had always stood by my side, was the Volkswagen subculture. And admittedly, some of the nicest people you're ever going to meet in any car community are the Volkswagen guys. They are. Just hands down, the nicest car people you're ever going to meet. Of course, there's, you know, once in a while you find a bit of a bum, or, you know, a dickhead once in a while. But all opinions set aside, and the people that want to be difficult, for the most part, overwhelmingly, they're really good. They're always helpful. They're always there for you. And I've often been that guy helping others. You know, you may come across as a dick, or, you know, I've got an abrasive personality, but I'm always there for everybody. If somebody has something broken, whether it be Carlos or Wild Bill, or even some of the people that I don't like in the car club, if something breaks on their car and I have a part for it, or I can go take care of them and help them, I always have. I always have. It's just, that's just what I do. I don't want to be known as that guy that, you know, nobody wants to talk to. You know, I'm difficult and I'm abrasive and I make a lot of dirty jokes, but in the end of the day, everybody's laughing and having a good time. And if you don't enjoy that, well, I'm sorry. You know, what do? You just pick up and move on. Looking at my shirt here, and there's spots all over it. I picked up a wet duck and hugged her just before I started recording this video. So that's the reason why my shirt looks all spotted. It don't look this bad in person, but when I look in that camera lens, and there's something about this camera, it picks up light in different ways than my eyes do. It sees things that I don't. Interesting. Whenever it does the same thing with the night shot. Let's find out. Yeah, the spots are even more evident that way. Yeah, that thing sees stuff that I don't. It's crazy. Really crazy. Well, let me tell you a little bit about my work. You guys probably know that I work on computers. I'm an IT guy. That's my full-time job. I have a contract. I work for several different restaurants along the Gulf Coast, and when somebody has a problem, they call me. I go out there and I fix their computers. And it could be, you know, cash register, order-taking type systems, or it could be the kitchen-based computer systems. Even cash drawers, they're not really technology, but they are driven by technology, so I take care of those just the same. I repair network infrastructure. I rebuild servers. I do data backup, not so much for these companies, but I do data recovery, backup services. Expert testimony. I've actually testified in court as an expert to computer crimes anywhere that I could help. If I've been asked to, I've actually stepped up and taken care of people for that just the same. But, you know, every morning I wake up and I'm unemployed. And that's what I tell people. I am self-employed, but that also means that if I don't get out of bed, you're unemployed. If you're not working, you're not making money. So I wake up in the morning, and it was 6 o'clock in the morning. I started getting emails, a dozen of them, and that's how they send me the service tickets. A dozen emails came through for different service tickets in the area, and a lot of them were for jobs that were not close to home, and I'm trying to figure out why that is the case. The guy that I had mentioned earlier in videos, he disappeared from work. He just stopped coming to work. He was really becoming a pain in the ass, and I was always doing his job for him to keep him out of trouble kind of thing. And he finally got fired. They finally, revoked his contract and got rid of him. They started to send in other technicians from elsewhere in the country to watch his area, which is the Panama City, Tallahassee, Dothan, Alabama area over that way, kind of far from here. They serviced that area for something like 37 days, I think is actually what it came up to. And then they decided yesterday that they're not going to send anybody out there anymore. So they gave me all of his service tickets, all of mine, and I ended up with 12. 6 a.m., 12 service tickets came through. Needless to say, I was not a happy camper, but since I am a team player, I didn't argue too much about it. I just asked a question. And I always like it when somebody asks a question of me rather than immediately jumping for my throat and trying to choke me. Like, are you ever going to finish this car? I ended up covering for jobs that aren't mine for an area that's not mine. I'm not getting paid any more money, by the way, even though I'm doing jobs for 2 guys. The retainer checks that they send me are still the same size, and I'm really not too happy about that. And if that doesn't change, I'd say within the next week, I'm going to be very, very, very loud about it. So I called up and I started asking questions, when are you going to hire a new guy for out here? And the answer to me was not an answer that I wanted to hear. It was that we've been working on trying to find somebody for the last 30 days, and it's been worked up through the company, and we're trying to get the HR department to turn the gears to pick which one that they want, do the paperwork, and get them hired. And I'm like, seriously, you guys? The last time this happened, it was about 2.5 months before you hired somebody. Well, I got stuck with all this work for 2.5 months. I'm not going to do that this time. And I was very, very square with them, and I was very, I was nice, I was respectful, but as I said, I'm not going to deal with this. And I know they don't want to replace me. And the reason why is I always answer the calls like the second that I get them. Even though on videos you see me put it off a little bit, I still answer much faster than anybody else they have helping them in the country. Anybody else. I respond very, very quickly. I go take care of the job, and I don't get callbacks. In other words, I fix it the first time, and I'm done. I don't want to make a second trip. I don't get paid for second trips. But a lot of other idiot technicians, they will make multiple trips, just over and over again. I was very rudely woken up with 12 service tickets, and I knew there was too many that I wasn't going to be able to handle them. By the end of the day, I got about 7 or 8 of them done. And that was a good thing. I mean, I put a pretty good dent in it. I did some 500 miles of driving. I was exhausted, and it was about 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, and I'm about halfway back from Tallahassee, coming through Destin because I had a stop over there. And I decided to stop at McGuire's and have a beer. And while I was in there having a beer, my phone rings again. Bing, 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 bing. And I ended up with the 16th ticket for the day. And he said, how do you jump from 12 to 16? That's because over the course of the day, they sent me 4 more. This was number 16. And the only good thing about number 16 is that it just happened to be right next door to the restaurant that I was having the beer in. So I walked right across the parking lot and took care of their problem immediately. And it turned out the problem was because managers decided to take apart one of the computer monitors in the kitchen. So he tampered with it and tried to swap monitors or something. And they're screwed to a wall and all this other nonsense. So he actually physically disassembled these things and took them apart. So he told me this monitor is bad. I plugged it in and turned it on, and clearly it was working just fine. So I had to write that up as the equipment was tampered with because I couldn't find anything wrong. So I put everything back together, put the screws back in it the way it belonged, and was done with it, and left that job, and then finally came home. And it was a long day yesterday. I think I put in about 16 hours, and I don't like doing that. I just don't like doing that. It's just that's entirely too much. Just entirely too much. And if I do that, no more than once a week. Anything beyond that is too much. So I told him I'm going to continue to take these service calls, but I'm not going to kill myself. Instead, I'm going to pace myself. So I need you guys to back me up on this. If I end up with service calls getting done late or way beyond their due dates, sorry. You're just going to have to deal with it until you hire somebody else. I'm tired of covering for somebody that's not doing their job. That's not what I do here. I've got my own business. I've got my own people. I've got my own projects. I've got my own stuff. I've got my own other customers. In fact, I don't even need their job. The only reason I'm doing it is because, guess why? I got asked to. And that happens very often. You end up with somebody that they need to replace, or they need somebody that actually does a proper job, and somebody knows me, gives me a call, and guess what? I go do things. And I do a lot of different things. It's not just IT. I also do web programming. I also do this kind of stuff. I work on other people's cars and motorcycles just the same. I don't take in a whole lot of them, and not all of them even appear on video because not everybody wants their projects on video. I'm always nice and respectful. You don't want your project on there, or some people have secret. They're building their own car for the car show, and they don't want people to see up front what's being worked on yet until they reveal it at the car show. So I respect that, and I don't put that stuff on video. It's been a little while since I've had one, but I do get queried a couple times a week, people that want me to do something for them. But I tell them, it has to be part of my schedule, and it has to be for money that makes it worthwhile to me. I don't need to be rich. I'm still going to be cheaper than a lot of the big shops are, but you got to make sure that I get compensation for it that makes it worth it for me. Otherwise, yeah, I'm sorry, I just can't take on that kind of job. It's different if I'm helping a friend, and I do often help friends with a lot of other things. Well, I think that pretty much answers things. I've run a little bit long on this video here, but I'm going to ask you, please like, comment, subscribe. Please don't forget to pluck that dingle belly down the next subscribe button. That way you get updates every time I upload a video. And don't forget to check out Duckman Cycles and VW Garage up on the Facebook group page. If you'd like to email me, duckmancycles@duckshit.net. And as always, I also have... And don't forget, I've also got an Instagram, which is at VV, which is the same as this YouTube channel. So if you'd like to find that, please go over there and follow me. I put up photos about my projects and stuff all the time, and also a lot about Skeeter the duck. That seems to be the hot thing over there. Everybody wants to see pictures and videos of Skeeter. Admittedly, she's a sweetheart, and she's a cutie. She's inside right now. I actually forgot to feed her this morning. I don't know. I put down water in their bowl, and they have a double bowl like you give to like a dog. And I walked away, and I came back like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and there's no food in the bowl. I felt so bad. They've been calling me all day, and I thought they were just being rowdy, but there's no food in there. So I poured food in, and they went nuts, and they ate their food, but I really did feel guilty for that one. Anyways, thanks for watching, you guys. Really do appreciate it. We'll see you next time.